Hello everyone, this is a ninth lecture of engineering geology. In this lecture we will cover metamorphic rocks. Firstly we look at origin of metamorphic rocks. The word metamorphism comes from the Greek word meta means change, morph means form. So metamorphism means to change form. Metamorphic rocks are those rocks that are formed as a result of transformation that takes place in the pre-existing rocks like igneous or sedimentary rocks. When the pre-existing rocks are subjected to high temperature, pressure, and chemically active liquids and gases, the minerals present in the original rocks changes to new environmental condition. This adjustment process continues until the minerals attain stability or equilibrium. What happens when the rocks are subjected to high temperature, pressure, and chemically active liquids or gases? The minerals which are present in the rock adjust themselves to attain the stability or equilibrium to the new environmental condition. Clear? By this, original minerals get recrystallized and the original structure and texture also changes. The process by which metamorphic rocks are formed is known as metamorphism. Okay, the process that we discussed here, how the minerals in the rocks get changed under high temperature, pressure, and involvement of chemicals. That process is known as metamorphism. Okay, through metamorphism, the metamorphic rocks are formed. Classification of metamorphic rocks. Foliated metamorphic rocks. The process of metamorphism, which is always accompanied by pressure, induces alignment of constituent minerals in a rock. The alignment or orientation of minerals takes place perpendicular in the direction of the pressure. When platy, lamellar, bladed, or flaky minerals like chlorite, mica, and talc occur in rocks, they orient themselves parallel to one another and perpendicular to the direction of pressure of metamorphism. The resulting rocks in this way are called foliated metamorphic rocks. Okay? What happens with the metamorphism? The rocks are subjected to temperature, pressure, and chemicals. Okay. When the pressure is applied to the rock, they induces alignment of constituent minerals. Clear? Means their orientation get changes, and the alignment or orientation of minerals take place perpendicular to the direction of the pressure, and they orient themselves parallel to one another. Okay, suppose what is the shape of minerals? Platy, lamellar, bladed, means plate like minerals are there. They orient themselves parallel to one another. Okay, in this way they adjust themselves, they orient themselves parallel to one another, but this orientation is perpendicular to the direction of pressure. Okay, so the resulting rock in this way is called foliated metamorphic rock. Okay, look at this figure. In this figure you can see the minerals are oriented in this direction, and can we determine the direction of pressure? Yeah, of course, because the orientation in this direction, so the direction of pressure should be perpendicular to the direction of the orientation of minerals. Means this will be the applied pressure in this case. Next is non-foliated metamorphic rocks. Non-foliated metamorphic rocks are formed around igneous intrusions where the temperatures are high but the pressures are relatively low and equal in all directions. Look at this figure. This is the intrusion of igneous rock. Okay, this is the melted igneous rock which moved in upward direction through the crack in the rock, and it forcibly created space between the existing rock. Okay, in the vicinity of this intrusion, this is the intrusion. Okay, in the vicinity of intrusion the temperature is high and the pressure is low. So under these circumstances the minerals in the rock get changed. Okay, and the resulting metamorphic rock is called non-foliated metamorphic rocks. This is the picture of non-foliated metamorphic rock. In this type of rock the minerals does not orient themselves parallel to each other. Now let's see the structures associated with metamorphic rocks. The minerals present in the rock and the type of structure produced in it during metamorphism are related. Based on the shape or nature of growth, the commonly occurring rock forming minerals are grouped into equidimensional, platy, or prismatic. Equidimensional minerals means the dimensions in all the directions are equal in the mineral. Okay, platy mineral means the structure will be plate like. Prismatic minerals means okay, this type of shape are called prismatic. When the cross sectional area is constant throughout the length. Okay, the length dimension is bigger than the lateral dimension. During metamorphism, the minerals normally undergo foliation and segregation. What is foliation? Foliation means alignment or orientation of minerals in a particular direction that we have seen. Okay. What is segregation? A process in which minerals get separated within the rock and occur together. Means one type of minerals are separated in a separate band and other type of minerals in another band, as we have seen in case of foliated rock. Here this is a separate band, this is a separate band. Okay, this phenomena is called segregation. So during metamorphism, minerals of different shapes like equidimensional, platy, or prismatic undergo foliation and segregation. Such minerals then produce gneiss, schistose, and granulose structures. Firstly, we look at gneiss structure. If the rock consists of equidimensional minerals along with others, that is platy and prismatic minerals, first segregation of the minerals occurs and alternating bands are formed. Then foliation and delineation of platy and prismatic minerals take place. Such an arrangement of minerals is called gneiss structure. Okay, what happens in case of gneiss structure? In the rock, all kind of mineral shape exist. Okay, equidimensional minerals as well as platy and prismatic minerals. What happens under metamorphism process? First of all, the segregation of minerals occurs and alternating bands are formed. Then foliation and delineation of platy and prismatic minerals take place. Okay, in case of platy minerals we use the term foliation. What is foliation? Means orientation of minerals. Means orientation of platy minerals take place, and in case of prismatic minerals we use the term lineation. This is also a orientation of the prismatic minerals. Okay, so this type of arrangement of minerals is called gneiss structure. Okay, in this figure you can see the separate bands of the minerals. Okay, in this type of rock The equidimensional minerals as well as platy and prismatic minerals all are present, and they are oriented in a particular direction. So in the gneiss structure, both equidimensional and other minerals occur in considerable proportion, and they appear in alternating bands along with the alignment of prismatic and platy minerals. Next is schistose structure. If the rock consists of only platy or prismatic minerals, then no segregation takes place but only foliation and or lineation. Such arrangement is called schistose structure. So, in a schistose structure, platy or prismatic will be dominating, and they occur with orientation or alignment. If a few equidimensional minerals are present, they appear in between the layers of other minerals as discontinuous bands or patches. What happens in this case? Only platy and prismatic minerals are present, and there is no segregation takes place. Only foliation of platy and lineation of prismatic minerals occurs. This type of arrangement is called schistose structure. If a few equidimensional minerals are present, they appear as a discontinuous bands, okay, or patches. Clear? Granulose structure. If the rock composed predominantly of equidimensional minerals, then neither segregation nor foliation takes place. So in granulose structure, prismatic or platy minerals will be either negligible or absent. Only equidimensional minerals will be absent. I think now you can understand this. Okay. In this case, only equidimensional minerals are present. Okay. So since only one type of mineral shape is present, that's why there is no segregation nor foliation takes place. Here, this is a typical picture which represents the granulose structure. Cataclastic structure. This type of structure is produced under stress and in absence of high temperature, whereby rocks are subjected to shearing. Only durable minerals partly survive the crushing force, and the less durable ones are powdered. Thus, when resistant minerals and rock fragments stand out in a porphyritic manner in the finer materials, it is known as porphyroclastic structure. Since these structures are formed due to cataclasis, they are also known as cataclastic structure. In cataclastic structure, what happens? The rock is subjected to the shearing force, okay, and there is an absence of high temperature. Under this shearing force, only durable materials partly survive this crushing force, and the less durable minerals converted in powder form. The resistant minerals and rock fragments which survived this crushing force stand out in a porphyritic manner in the finer material. We know what is porphyritic structure, that we have discussed in case of igneous rocks. Okay, so this type of structure is called porphyroclastic structure. Since these structures are formed due to cataclasis, cataclasis means due to the crushing of the rock, they are also known as cataclastic structure. Now we come to the textures in sedimentary rocks. Crystalloblastic and palimpsest textures. The textures which have developed newly during the process of metamorphism are called crystalloblastic textures. Okay, newly built textures are called crystalloblastic textures in metamorphic rocks. The other textures which belong to parent rocks like igneous or sedimentary rocks but still retained in metamorphic rocks are called palimpsest textures. Okay, these are the old textures which are retained in the metamorphic rocks. Next is xenoblastic and ideoblastic textures. The crystalloblastic textures are of two kinds which are called xenoblastic and ideoblastic textures. In the xenoblastic textures, the constituent minerals of the rock have no well developed crystal faces. If the minerals have well developed crystal faces and forms the texture is called ideoblastic. Now let's say suitability of metamorphic rocks as engineering materials. Means why these metamorphic rocks we can use for civil engineering purposes. Firstly, we look at gneiss. As gneiss is a silica rich rock, it is durable. By virtue of mineralogical similarity to granites, gneisses also have pleasing colors. Gneiss is reasonably non-porous and impermeable, contributing to its strength. Okay, as we know, gneiss are formed due to metamorphism of granites. That's why the properties of gneisses is similar to the property of granites, and we know the granites are more durable. As well as the gneiss is non-porous and impermeable. Okay, so this nature contribute to its strength. This is a picture of gneiss and this is a picture of schist. The minerals of schist such as talc, chlorite, biotite, muscovite and serpentine are relatively very soft. Hence these rocks are not hard, strong and durable. Moreover, the cleavage character which is well developed in most of the minerals of schist also contribute to the weakness of rocks and makes them disintegrate easily. Thus, the various properties of schist make it unsuitable for any important civil engineering purpose. Clear? The schist is not suitable for civil engineering purpose because the constituent minerals which form the rocks like talc, chlorite, biotite, muscovite and serpentine having very small hardness, very low hardness, okay, and they are also less durable. They are also subjected to cleavage character, means you can break these rock easily along a particular plane. Next is quartzite. Because of the predominance of quartz, the color of quartzite is generally white or pale colored and pleasing. The silica composition of the rock makes it very hard, highly durable and resistant to weathering. As we know, the properties of rocks depends upon its constituent minerals. That's why here we are discussing about the minerals property. Okay, here the predominant minerals in quartzite is the quartz. That's why the property of quartz defining the property of quartzite rock. Okay, quartzite rocks are highly suitable as railway ballast, concrete aggregate and paving blocks, etc. Next is marble. Marbles are well known for their beautiful colors, pleasing appearance and easy workability because the constituent calcite mineral is rather soft. Being denser and less porous, it is of course stronger than limestone. Marbles as such are competent to withstand reasonable loads also. But in comparison with other rocks, marbles suffer from both physical and chemical drawbacks. Physically, the calcite of marble is not only very soft, its hardness is approximately equal to 3, but also has 3 sets of well developed cleavages. This inherent weakness makes the rock split or break easily under loads. And chemically, the calcium carbonate composition of the rock makes it susceptible to easy decomposition or dissolution by the carbon dioxide bearing surface water. Okay, what is the composition of the calcite? That is the calcium carbonate, and when this comes in contact with the surface water which is associated with carbon dioxide, it undergo decomposition and dissolution. Okay, so this is a chemically weak and as well as it is physically weak. Okay, because it also has the three sets of well developed cleavage which decreases its strength. So this was all about igneous, sedimentary and metamorphic rocks. Here we discussed the origin, classification, structures, textures of these rocks as well as their suitability as a civil engineering materials. In the next lecture we will discuss weathering and erosion of rocks. Thank you.